wanted us. You were crying out that you bypassed the harder team in Miami Heat.
Rose came down bad on his left foot. See him holding on to his knee and down. He was flying and he came down wrong on the left foot. Now whether it was an ankle or a knee, I do not know.
When Derrick Rose came into the league, he was instantly surrounded with so much hype, and nobody had ever seen a player like him. Very few athletes have been able to play at the level he played at for his age. From the south side of Chicago to Chicago's MVP, today I'm going to be going in depth to tell the whole life and career story of Derrick Rose. What's going on, everyone? Thank you all for clicking on this video. If you enjoy it, I would really appreciate it if you dropped a like and left a comment. Also make sure to subscribe. Only 1% of you guys that watch my videos are subscribed. It takes less than 5 seconds and you can always change your mind. I spend a lot of time and effort making these videos, and all your support really means the world. So Derrick Rose was born on August 23rd in 1978 in Inglewood, Chicago. Inglewood was one of the most dangerous neighborhoods on Chicago's south side. Derrick was also the youngest of 4 children and son of Brenda Rose. All 3 of his siblings were talented basketball players who taught Rose the ins and outs of the game on nearby courts in Chicago. As he grew up, Derrick began to get lots of nearby attention as his talent grew. His brothers and his mother recognized his talent. Later on, he would start to gain more attention outside of Chicago, leading his mother and brothers to restrict outside contact to him. She feared he would be exploited and his path to the NBA would be put to shambles by outside parties like street agents, similar to what happened to former Chicago prospect Ronnie Fields. The family recognized the opportunity for Rose to get to the NBA, which would lead them to a better life, so they did everything in their power to help Derrick get there. The brothers would drop him off to and from school, and they even had people spy and monitor on him when he went out without his brothers to make sure he was being safe. In high school, Derrick Rose attended Simeon Career Academy in 2003 to play basketball. At this time, he was already a hot commodity for college coaches. Despite his big reputation, in his first year, he only played freshman and JV basketball for the Wolverines. He wore number 25 in honor of Ben Wilson, a promising player who was murdered by a gang member during his senior year in 1984 during a lunch break. There were so many outside distractions that could have very easily led Rose down the wrong path, so he had to stay very grounded and alert to anything going on early in his life. The tragedies of prior players in Chicago hung over its basketball scene like a dark cloud. Rose honored Ben Wilson by choosing to wear number 25. Entering high school, Rose was not allowed on the varsity team due to a long-standing tradition that head coach Bob Hambrick had in place, who had been with the school since 1980, that said no freshman can be on the varsity team. This rule, however, did not affect Rose too much though. He went on to put up 18.5 points, 6 assists, 4.7 rebounds, and 2 steals per game, and led both the freshmen and sophomores to city championships with a 24-1 record. Coach Hambrick then softened his stance and allowed the freshmen a chance to play on varsity in the state tournament, but Rose declined. He wanted the players to get their credit. The following season, Hambrick retired and Robert Smith was hired, opening the path for Rose to play varsity. In Rose's debut, he had 22 points, 7 rebounds, and 5 steals over Thornwood High School in a sold-out game filled with college scouts and coaches. Rose led the Wolverines to a 30-5 mark while averaging 19.8 points, 5.1 rebounds, 8.3 assists, and 2.4 steals, but the season ended after a loss in the state regionals. Derrick's play earned him his first national award, a Parade All-American 3rd team spot. During Rose's junior year in 2006, the Simeon Wolverines finally broke through and won the Chicago Public League Championship held at the United Center. Rose would go on to score 25 points with many crowd-pleasing dunks. The team advanced their way through the playoffs and earned a berth in the Class AA state championship against Richwoods High School, where a 4th quarter buzzer beater by Richwood forced overtime. The score was tied late in overtime when Rose stole the ball and buried the game-winning jumper as time ran out, giving Simeon its first state title since the Wilson-led Wolverines won in 1984. The team finished 33-4 and were ranked nationally. Rose was awarded with an All-State Illinois mention, EA Sports All-American 2nd team pick, and another Parade All-American selection. Going into his final year of high school, Rose was ranked the 5th best prospect in the nation by Sports Illustrated. In 2007, Simeon traveled to the Garden to play Rice High School and star guard Kemba Walker. The Wolves would end up losing this game in a close one, 53-51. The season's highlight was a nationally televised game on ESPN against Virginia Power Oak Hill Academy 2 weeks later. This game, Rose was matched up with hyped junior guard Brandon Jennings. Rose had 28 points, 9 assists, and 8 rebounds to lead his team to a 78-75 win. For his performance, USA Today named him their High School Player of the Week. Simeon went on to repeat as Public League champions and defended their state championship, defeating O'Fallon High School 77-54. In doing so, Simeon became the first Chicago League public school to win 2 straight state championships. In his final high school game, Rose scored 2 points, but pulled down 7 rebounds and totaled 8 assists, while Simeon big man Tim Flowers scored 35 points. The Wolverines ended this season 33-2, and they were ranked first in the nation by Sports Illustrated and 6th on USA Today's Super 25. This season, Rose averaged 25.2 points, 9.1 assists, 8.8 rebounds, and 3.4 steals. Overall, Simeon's record with Derrick Rose while he played was 120-12. After his senior season, Rose was again named to All-State after being named Illinois' Mr. Basketball and also to the McDonald's All-American team. He was also awarded with first-team honors by Parade Selection in USA Today and USA Today First Team All-American. Rose was selected to play in the Jordan Brand All-Star Game and Nike Hoot Summit. In 2009, he was named the decade's 3rd greatest high school point guard by ESPN Rise magazine, behind Chris Paul and TJ Ford, and he had his jersey number retired next to Ben Wilson. Since Rose had so much hype and attention in high school, he was easily able to earn himself a good college offer. Rose accepted a scholarship to play for the University of Memphis with head coach John Calipari, who recruited him after seeing him play in an AAU game. This decision wasn't easy for Rose because he had strong offers from his hometown Illinois and also Indiana. Rose chose Memphis because of the school's history of putting players in the NBA. Rose also switched to number 23 due to the fact that 25 had been retired by the school in honor of Penny Hardaway. One of the biggest controversies of Rose's career was that, according to Sherry Littman of the University of Memphis Legal Counsel, a month after the loss to Kansas, the NCAA sent a letter to the school stating that Rose had an invalidated standardized test score the previous year at Chicago's Simeon High School. The next January, the NCAA sent another letter charging Memphis with knowing that Rose had someone else take his SAT for him. The next day, in a separate investigation by James Sullivan, who was the Inspector General of Chicago Public Schools, released a report of his investigation stating that 4 student athletes of a CPS school had 1-month grade boosts to alter their college transcripts. The Chicago Sun-Times later revealed the school as Simeon Career Academy, and that 3 of the 4 were Rose and his former teammates Kevin Johnson and Tim Flowers. These players were all prominent members of the back-to-back championship teams. The newspaper claimed that Rose's grade was changed from a D to a C. Another part of the report stated that high school staff lost the original permanent records for 3 of the above-mentioned student athletes. Basically, Rose may have cheated his way into eligibility, but at the same time, who can blame him? After all of this, Memphis contended that it had learned of the allegations about Rose's SAT score shortly after he enrolled at the school. It conducted its own investigation, in which Rose was questioned by 4 school officials. Ultimately, Memphis was unable to find any evidence that Rose had cheated based on what was available at the time, and it cleared him to play. Later on, more things popped up, but Rose and Memphis were able to clear everything with courts using a $100,000 settlement they agreed upon. Despite all the drama in college, it was still very clear that Rose could be an elite NBA player, and he had the attention of many teams. On June 26 in 2008, Rose was finally drafted. The hometown Chicago Bulls decided to take a chance on him with the first overall pick, and everything was a dream come true. Following the draft, Rose was selected to the U.S. Select Team to scrimmage against and prepare the national team for the Olympics in Beijing. In mid-July, he played 2 games in the Orlando Summer League, but was forced out early by tendonitis in his right knee, ending his summer, but he returned in October to play all 8 preseason games for the Bulls. Rose shined early on in his career and became the first Bulls draftee to score 10 points or more in his first 10 games since Michael Jordan. This play earned him Eastern Conference Rookie of the Month for November and December. During the All-Star Weekend, Rose played in the Rookie Challenge and won the Skills Challenge, beating out several All-Stars to become the first rookie to claim this title. Although Rose was dominating his rookie season, he did have a January and February slump. Later on, Rose eventually returned to form and won Rookie of the Month in March. Meanwhile, the Bulls were making moves and were re-energized by the trade deadline and getting John Salmons and Brad Miller. They then finished the regular season on a 12-4 spurt to qualify for the 7th seed in the Eastern Conference, and Rose won Rookie of the Year, joining Michael Jordan and Elton Brand as the only Bulls to do so in franchise history. He was also the first #1 pick since LeBron James to win the award. Rose finished his rookie campaign averaging 17 points on 47% field goal shooting and 6.3 assists per game, leading all rookies. He then obviously was named to the NBA All-Rookie First Team. In his playoff debut against the defending champs, the Boston Celtics, Rose recorded 36 points, 11 assists, and 4 rebounds as the Bulls got a huge 105-103 overtime win on the road. Rose was letting the league know of his superstar potential and became the second player in NBA history to record 35 points and 10 assists in a playoff debut after Chris Paul. Rose averaged 19.7 points on 47.5% shooting, 6.3 assists, and 5 rebounds per game in his first playoff series. The Bulls eventually were defeated by the Celtics after putting up a good fight, taking the series to Game 7. Rose went into his sophomore season with an unbelievable amount of hype. He injured his ankle in the first game of the preseason, and it bothered him for the first month of the real season. On January 28th in 2010, Rose was selected to his first career All-Star game as a reserve for the Eastern Conference, which made him the first Bulls player to be selected since Michael Jordan. He ended up with 8 points, 4 assists, and 3 steals in the game. Then on April 13th, Rose scored 39 points against the Celtics, making 15 out of 22 shots and 9 free throws. The Bulls once again made the playoffs, finishing with a 41-41 record, and in the playoffs, Rose averaged 27 points and 7.2 assists, but the Bulls couldn't get over the hump and lost in 5 games to the Cleveland Cavaliers. The next following season is the one that most people will remember Derrick Rose for. It started off in just the Bulls' second game of the season. He scored 39 points in a 101-91 win against the Detroit Pistons. At the end of the season, the Bulls finished with a league-leading record of 62-20. Their 60-plus win season was the Bulls' first since 1997, and the number 6 time doing this in franchise history. On May 3rd, Rose was named the NBA Most Valuable Player, joining Michael Jordan as the only player to receive the award in Chicago Bulls history. At only 22 years old, the sky was the limit for Rose. In the 2011 NBA playoffs, the Bulls defeated the Indiana Pacers and Atlanta Hawks in the first 2 rounds, but then in the Eastern Conference Finals, they ran into the Miami Heat led by the Big Three, LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, and Chris Bosh. The Bulls lost this series in 5 games, and Rose struggled a bit from the field. In December of the following season, Rose signed a 5-year contract extension with the Bulls for $94.8 million. This contract was 30% of the Bulls' salary cap, the maximum allowed under a rule that became named the Derrick Rose Rule from the 2011 NBA Collective Bargaining Agreement. Rose started off the season well and was voted to another All-Star game for the 2nd consecutive year, except this season he was a starter. He was the 2nd leading vote getter behind Orlando Magic center Dwight Howard. He averaged 21.8 points per game, along with a career-high 8 assists per game. During Game 1 of the first round of the playoffs against the Philadelphia 76ers, as everyone knows, Rose injured his left knee while trying to jump. He was immediately helped off the court. The injury occurred when the Bulls were leading by 12 points with only 1 minute left to play. Rose came up just short of a triple-double, and his MRI later revealed that he tore his ACL in his left knee and would miss the rest of the playoffs. Rose had a surgery performed a few weeks after the injury, with an estimated recovery period of 8 to 12 months. Rose sat the whole next season, and Bulls fans were devastated. In the 2014 season, his return was long awaited, but this season was once again ruined by another knee injury. On November 22nd, Rose injured his right knee during a game against the Portland Trail Blazers. An MRI the next day confirmed that Rose tore his meniscus and that surgery was required. At the time, Rose was averaging 16 points per game and 4 assists per game. The Bulls later announced Rose was out for the season after a successful surgery. Derrick Rose once again persevered and recovered from this injury and led the Bulls back to the playoffs in 2015, where they put up a good fight against LeBron and the Cavs. Rose also had an iconic career moment where he banked in a game winner in Game 3. After this season, all the knee injuries were starting to catch up to Rose, and it only leaves us wondering how good he really could have been. In 2017, Rose started his journey around the NBA, being traded to the Knicks, then the Cavs, then to the Timberwolves and Pistons, and now he is back with the Knicks. He still continues to fight through injuries, but overall, it is incredible what Rose has been able to overcome. Although we can only wonder what it could have been, he still had a great NBA career and became a fan favorite throughout the league and the whole world. That's going to be the end of this video. Let me know in the comments below what player I should make one on next. This video took a long time to plan out and make, so I would really appreciate all your support. Thank you all for watching, and until next time, I'll see you all later.